morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, whatever the case may be, wherever you may be. Welcome to the YouTube channel, Expression of Consciousness, hosted by Spencer David. My name's Baz, and today I and Spencer are going to be talking about various things. We did plan to do this later on this afternoon, but both of us have come together earlier because of what has happened to us both this morning. Spencer will go on in a minute when I introduce him to tell you about it from his perspective. But I put a post up this morning saying, spirit, is merely a construct of the matrix. Seek to go beyond spirit, and bring the system down. And Spencer phoned me and told me about what was happening to him, and so that's why we brought this forward. So here is Spencer now to tell you about that. Good morning, Spencer.
Good morning, Barry. It's been an eventful morning, hasn't it?
It has for both of us. And I would just like to say before you go on,
yes,
the phone conversation that brought us to bringing this earlier,
yes,
told us both that we were both receiving from the same field of energy, the same sort of knowledge, and what you told me earlier had me in tears because of the truth of what you were saying. So please go on, and the floor is yours, so to speak.
Okay, so good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are, ladies and gentlemen. So yeah, I've had an interesting 18 or so hours. Obviously yesterday myself and Barry did the video, and Barry did a talk about his spiritual journey and how he got involved. And last night I was relaxing, and the universe become quite active around me. My guides come quite close. My Native American in quite particular came forward last night, and he's a guide. He's my main guide, or he was when I started my path. And so I haven't, although he's been about, but he doesn't work with me as much as my Mandarin guide. But he decided he's been he's been around me a lot more recently, since this shift in consciousness on the planet and the shift in consciousness with myself. And last night I was just watching comedy because I was tired and I needed to entertain myself for a moment and bring some laughter in. So I just watched nonsense comedies for that. And all of a sudden they decided to tell me I needed to meditate. And I was like, okay. And they were talking to me about downloads. When we as mediums or people that are consciously awakened have downloads. Now, I'll explain a little bit about downloads because this is the purpose of what they were at last night. Now, download is energy, and it's from the universe. It's from a high point of a conscious awareness from higher dimensions. Now, dimensions are not physical places. They are levels or points of awareness. So higher the dimension, the higher the point of awareness. And along with that, we are attuning to higher states of frequency. And that's what's important. The level of frequency we attune ourselves to. Would you agree, Barry?
Yeah, without a shadow of doubt, Spencer, without a shadow of doubt.
Because when we attune ourselves to higher frequencies, it then also allows our bodies to run and work at higher levels of frequency. Therefore, the vibrational rate within the body speeds up, and that allows us access to higher points of awareness, which means new guides, if you wish, or new spiritual or universal inspirers can come into your point of awareness because you've raised your conscious awareness and understanding. And through that, they can give you more wisdom, more knowledge, and more truth of the mechanics and the workings of the universe and consciousness itself. Now, what are downloads? When we have a download, they can happen at any point. Now, I'm talking from personal experience. I've had about 4 or 5 downloads of frequency in the last 12 months when I had my consciousness activation through my self-development. I didn't pay for it. It happened naturally. When we have the downloads, the awareness or the soul that is administering or assisting the download of that frequency comes into your awareness, and you will feel, or I most definitely felt, my crown, the area in my crown chakra at the top of my head blow wide open. And when I felt that rush of energy, at first I felt a rush of my energy shoot upwards to the universe. So I knew from that point I was ascending my consciousness. And again, I didn't specifically do anything for that to happen, Barry. It just happened naturally. You understand what I mean when our helpers come in, and our bodies in time through development just naturally jump into that state of awareness. Do you understand?
I'll fully understand. It happens to me an awful lot, Spence.
When we're in the early stage, we have to prepare to go into certain states of consciousness or levels of awareness to bring in information. But when a conscious awakening happens, you can then get the downloads. Downloads are frequency, but people can label the downloads as receiving light code. Now, again, the universe does use light code because everything is light and everything is energy and vibration. And this light code, as we have labeled it, is frequency from higher dimensions, and each frequency represents a certain expression from the consciousness itself, from our universe and creation. Each vibration of frequency has its own meaning, or its own frequency wave or frequency. Like love, for instance, is an expression coming from consciousness, and through love expressing itself on an energy level first, it then manifests into the physical, and we experience it through many forms. For instance, falling in love with someone. But then you can also feel that love vibration from your helpers in the spirit world. So when the downloads come in, this higher level of frequency comes in. And when that information comes in, your guides are not talking to you, or this higher point of awareness, or this consciousness that's coming forward is not communicating with you verbally. It is just transmitting code to you. And when that code comes down in through the crown chakra into our subconscious and conscious awareness, that is then translated. The code and frequency is then translated into language for us to understand, hence the language I'm speaking now. For instance, for me, it's English. But obviously, if you were being downloaded information somewhere else, that code is being translated to your conscious level of understanding wherever you are. And that's how downloads work. When we have the downloads, that then allows us to become in more contact with truth and understanding of the spiritual mechanics and the spiritual workings of the universe, you know, the mechanics of everything. And to become consciously awakened, you first have to awaken yourself spiritually. And when we to awaken ourselves spiritually, all we are doing is finding ourself within, because everything comes from within. All the knowledge that you know in your current point of awareness, your soul already knows it. It's the difference is the knowledge that's in your soul, you're not consciously aware of it, because you're not going within yourself through meditation and tapping in to that knowledge that is already currently present. How's things, Barry?
No, I totally agree with you. I'm just listening to this and in total resonance and agreement. Carry on, my friend, please.
So that was my experience last night, and I had a bit of a download of information, and they were talking about to me about healing the body through electromagnetic energy and working on our own electromagnetic field, which is the aura, what we see as an aura when we tune in clairvoyantly to someone. That is the electromagnetic field. And that is what gets damaged when we abuse our bodies or put things into our bodies that is toxic for us. And therefore, when we put certain things into the body that does not do us any good, food, alcohol, drugs, legal, illegal, etc., it will then start to manifest over a slowly duration of time into something, into a symptom of some kind. And it's because we are damaging our electromagnetic field in the body, and we're not working on ourselves spiritually and through energy and frequency to balance and harmonize it. Because we are living in a world that is catering for spiritual sentient beings on a physical level using physical ways and means, and it does not work. That's why we have so many people now broken emotionally and mentally, because they haven't dealt with things in their physical lives, and they've abused their bodies, and they haven't dealt with it from an energy level, like through meditation. And through meditation, we align ourselves back to the trauma, and we can take ourselves back to that time of trauma and work on it ourselves through healing, through eating the right high frequency food, fruit, vegetables, organic food, vitamins, minerals, things like that, rather than stuff that is synthetic and man-made GMO rubbish. Because all the unnatural stuff is what is aggravating your electromagnetic field, then it's aggravating the physical, and that's why symptoms are forming. That's why you will get aches, pains, and eventually dis-ease. disease or dis-ease. We are unharmonized. We are unbalanced. And the only way we are going to deal with all these things ourselves is if we take responsibility for ourselves. Because we live in a world of cause and effect. And whether or not you believe in the laws or understand natural law, it's binding and it applies to you, like the laws of physics do. Now, if you don't understand physics or don't believe in the workings of physics, it doesn't matter. If you kick a ball at a wall, it's going to hit the wall and bounce back and maybe hit you in the face. Now, you didn't understand why that happened, but it did because of cause and effect. Because you caused the effect to happen. And you got a reflection of kicking the ball, obviously aggressively in this situation. So the ball would hit the wall aggressively and come back with aggression to you. That's law of attraction. What you put out, you get back. And again, how we act, how we think, and how we speak also affects our own electromagnetic field and us on a conscious level and on every level. Because at some point you are going to face the consequence of not working on yourself. And I've come to all these realizations within the last 18 months. And that's now why I'm able to work on myself, change things in myself to improve my own health. I've had to make changes in my life to control my asthma. Yes, I do smoke. But with other changes I've made in my life, my asthma has improved. And I haven't used my inhaler for 6 months because I don't want to, because I am not consenting to take it. Because everything, when we do stuff, everything starts on a thought level as well, and with intention. So for me not wanting to consent of taking my medicine, I'm telling my body to behave itself. I'm telling my body to heal itself. And I'm telling my body it doesn't need the inhaler because I am working on myself. And I'm talking to myself on a cellular level. Cells and our body listens to us. If you tell yourself you're a horrible person all the time, that's why you feel horrible, because you are telling yourself that constantly. So you begin to believe it, or your mind begins to believe it, and then your body acts out that sadness, maybe through acting unaccordingly. Sorry, I had to take a little drink there. It's only water. So everything starts on an energy level, and it starts on a thought level. And I've totally lost track of thought myself now. What was I just talking about? See what happens?
Yeah.
When distraction just kicked in, I took a drink, and that trail of thought just completely went.
Well, perhaps that trail of thought has ended because you were quite concise there. You've given an awful lot to think for people to think about. I resonated with everything you were saying. So perhaps you can move onward and talk about the conversation we had this morning and what brought us to that. As I said, from my perspective, it was writing that post. Working for Spirit is working for the Matrix, just perpetuating the system. Set your goals higher and bring an end to the system.
Yeah.
And when I talk of that, what come to me was, what we spoke of in the last video, the spirit world, as we know it, is purely a construct to keep the soul in perpetual reincarnation.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm getting more and more awareness of that in my, for want of a better expression, downloads, or raising my point of awareness, however it happens. That is becoming more and more, that message is coming to me more and more. And there's obviously an importance in that, not just for me, but to share.
Yeah.
And so what, from your perspective, what we spoke about this morning, we've got, if you'd like to continue on that.
Okay. So I'll talk a bit about me in the book, and I will try and incorporate other points in that the universe want me to talk about in the process of me talking about the book and stuff. So I started my spiritual path 20 years ago, and I, like anybody else, or most of us, go to a spiritualist church because we lost somebody. Yeah. I was a skeptic. My mum was spiritually aware and she was psychic, but I sort of boo-booed it, and we sort of mocked it a little bit when I was a kid, even though it wasn't much talked about. But when she did bring it up, we found it humorous. But I lost a friend when I was 17 and took a bad road for a couple of years with drink and drugs. And that was me locking that away. I was suppressing that emotion. I wasn't dealing with it. And, that's what grief does to people sometimes. And through my journey, I've learned a lot. But when my friend passed, I was like yourself, Barry. A friend introduced me to spiritualist churches, and I didn't have a clue what a medium was. And I got my proof. The lady, if she walked past me now, I wouldn't recognize her, because the stuff she told me just totally tripped me out. Yeah. And because, and if I remember rightly, I'm sure she came to me first, because it must have been like the universe. We can't have him sitting here too long. If he clocks on what's happening before he gets a turn, he's going to run. So we need to get him now. And she brought my granddad through, my mum's dad, which I didn't know about my granddad because he passed before I was born. But I've seen photos of him and stuff, and my mum spoke about him. And she told me that my granddad was around me, and, and I was struggling, and, I need to make some big decisions, and just, and if I don't put my ideas up, I will fail university. And that's precisely what I did do. I did fail university eventually. But, and they were right. But she brought my granddad through, and then she brought my friend through, and she said, I've got a young man here. I know he took his own life, and I know he's around 21, not between 20 and 22 years old or something like that, she said. And I was, and the penny dropped in my head straight away. I knew who she was referring to, because he was the only one that I knew that had passed through suicide. Yeah. And she said, this gentleman is built like a brick house. And she gave me his name, Paul. And I was like, oh my God, how on earth did that woman tell me my mate's here, and tell me he's a big lad, and reasons why he passed, and it all was true, what she said. And there's more information about that in my book, Expression of Consciousness. But through my development as a medium, I started to realize being a medium is a bigger responsibility than the 99% realize. Yeah. And I'm not saying that ignorantly. It is pretty much like that. The 99% don't realize how big of a responsibility it is. Because if you are spiritually or consciously awakened, you should be using that ability to be of service for humanity, for the greater good.
Yeah.
If you have been given the opportunity to grant wisdom and awareness to others that's going to help them as an individual, then they can help somebody else. It's paramount you do it.
Yeah.
But the difference about doing those good things is your intention. Are you doing that because you want a big house with a swimming pool and a BMW, or do you want to save the world?
Indeed.
And people might think, oh my God, you want to save the world? Yeah, I do want to save the world because it's a mess. And through the book, through me talking about my personal experiences working with spirit and how I've developed, it's brought me to a realization that to change this planet and all the wrongs in this planet, it must start with self.
Yeah.
So therefore, the purpose of my book is to self-empower the reader so they can become self-consciously aware of the universe and come to that vast array of knowledge for themselves. So my book will inspire them to meditate and tune in and learn about themselves. And at the same time, it talks about trance mediumship. It talks about my experiences with trance and how trance works. That it talks of an experience with my Mandarin Chao Li, who is the one that mainly does a lot of trance work or overshadowing work with me. When I'm doing stuff, it's generally him that's been around me the last 6 or so years. And blooming phone just bleeped and it stopped my thought. What was I saying? Blimey.
You're talking about working with your Mandarin.
Yeah, with trance. Sorry, yes. And it explains about the mechanics of trance, and it gives people it lets people understand that not everybody can be a trance medium. Now, trance medium does come with huge responsibility, because one, you've got to put your safety into somebody else's hands, as watching over you and check everything's okay, that no one's touching the medium, etc., and creating a nuisance. But you are also, when you go into full trance control, you are totally moving your own conscious awareness away to allow another consciousness to come forward. And when that happens, that knocks us out. The mind or the brain or the mind comes dormant. It won't remember what you've done in that space of time, because your awareness has been moved to the side, and your mind, or your consciousness rather, has gone into the deep theta state where your brain's running between 2 and 4 hertz. So it's running at a very, very low frequency in that sense. And that's why the body is totally inactive. Hence, when someone is in full trance control, you can pierce them with a needle or whatever, and the medium wouldn't react. And that takes years of experience to learn. Now, I'm not at that level, and I know I am not at that level. the majority of the time I am only overshadowed, and the awareness comes forward and gently blends, and I speak what they're talking about, but I'm still very much aware. But there is times when I've gone into trance on 2 or 3 handful occasions over the last 10 years. I've gone totally out where I don't remember. My first trance experience was with one of my old mentors, Mark Brandis, and I've got a lot of respect for him. He's a good guy, but we are on totally different paths now. But he was a great teacher, and he really he encouraged my trance. And again, that's an important thing. People think they can be taught trance. From my understanding, it can only be encouraged, because again, you can't be taught something that your awareness already knows what to do, because when you go into trance, it happens naturally. You sit, you meditate, and you tell your mind to move. So you're taking you out of the equation. You are not you anymore. You are your guide or whoever the inspirer is.
Yeah.
But you need to know who your inspirers are, because, and that's, the reason you need to know who your inspirers are, because you need to know what your guides, your helpers' intention is, because that's also in paramount. Hence, when I was talking at the beginning about activating, downloading to higher states of frequency, from that you are working with higher dimensionals, and the chances are those that are in higher realms will understand natural law on a greater level than those in lower realms of consciousness understanding. So you need to understand and know your intention of your spirit team. You can ask them directly, and I only consent to working in natural law because I'm well aware of karma, and karma is very real. And through my conscious awakening, I now understand we are constantly creating karma through our thoughts, words, actions.
Yeah.
Always. Because we are energy. That is it. Just because you see this physical shell, you're nothing more than atoms and protons, electrons, and things just vibrating at a particular level of frequency that expresses itself in a physical form. That is all you are. You're just having an experience here for your soul to understand and grow. This is a simulator. This world is a simulator for the soul, and it has been orchestrated. It has been created deliberately by the darker entities, if you want, and they have constructed everything. If you research Edgar Cayce, he tells you our origins. Would you agree, Barry?
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. You know, as I said,
he's discussed this. He told us this in altered states. You know, that they come through the trance state, didn't it? Or his sleep states, did it not? Yeah. So he's in his own, he's on a different point of awareness. He's took himself out, and he's allowed the universe to express the truth. Why you are here, how you are here. And through my book, we'll drop a few seeds of that. My book does talk about the spirit world and the 7 levels, but I only talk about my experience of the levels I've been on personally, because that is all I can count for, because I can only go from experience. If I haven't experienced it, or I don't know it to be true, I'm not telling you it, because I don't believe in nothing. I have to know something is truth for me to follow it, because the word belief, it carries the word lie. And people make bobbly-goop that and think, oh, words within words, that don't mean nothing. It does, because words are also frequency, vibration, frequency and vibration. They carry energy. Your words carry energy. If you say hateful things to somebody, you hurt them on an energy level first. They become emotional, and then it expresses itself through sadness and crying, etc. You have to be conscious of your thoughts, words, actions. But there's been times you will speak the truth and it will offend somebody. But really it's offending their ego, because they don't want to accept the reality they're in. Because they're living in a reality, well, they think they're living in a reality where there is going to be some external savior. There is not an external savior. You cannot give your energy to something else. You are consenting that. When you worship something else, an external conscious force, you are feeding it energy. And if you don't know what that energy is you are feeding, you don't know what the consequences of that are.
Completely agree.
Because there were points, I'm not religious and I've never been religious. It's strange. I mean, I never mentioned this in my book. I don't think I did. But when I was growing up, I never had to be told there was a God or a creator. When I went to church, the priest, I couldn't resonate with him. I just thought, that ain't right. And I was 15 then, and I just went in with a friend because we were, bored on a Sunday afternoon and it was raining. So we needed to go in somewhere. So we thought, we'll listen to the local vicar for half an hour. And the universe clearly didn't want me there, because I was struggling with a knee problem then from football. And my knee decided to give way. And I collapsed at the back of the church and knocked over a table in the middle of his prayer. They don't want me in here.
Mm.
So I didn't go back to a Catholic church. And because I knew there was something out there or around us that created all of this, but I didn't know what. And so I started my spiritual journey, and over the last 20 years has been an amazing 20 years. I am grateful for everything that's happened in my last 20 years, and that includes the good and bad. I've had a business, I had a shop, and it went under in 2009 because the recession triggered it, and it just didn't recover. They decided to put the rent up, rates went up, everything went up, and it just killed the business. But there was also other elements involved with that, why that business didn't work. And it was because of me, because I didn't take full responsibility. Plus, I didn't fully understand how to run a shop and a business at 26, because I was a carer and a youth worker. I didn't know nothing about retail. I had to learn it all within a space of like 3 months to open this shop, because my path completely diverted when I started my spiritual development. But through the spiritual development, through my spiritual development and coming to a spiritual awakening and being aware of everything around me on that spiritual level in the spirit world first, through that has allowed me then to awaken myself consciously. Because over the last 20 years, I've been working on myself through meditation. Like many, I sat in circles and I've had mentors. And, but there come a point where the circles weren't really doing anything for me in the sense of raising my awareness. I wasn't learning anything. I wasn't learning new knowledge. So I pulled away and I started just purely working on myself and sitting with the universe and my spirit team. And it's funny because I started doing that, and obviously things became better for me spiritually and energy wise. Now, when I first started out, people were saying don't guide worship. Now, I don't worship my guides because I know who my guides are and I know what they are. They are me. They are my previous incarnations. So for me to love them, I'm still loving myself. And through me pulling away from the churches and focusing on myself made me learn and come into a much greater connection with my helpers. And through that has enabled me to help others through readings, etc., and healing. But now they want me to write and make videos and express and sharing our knowledge. So the book Expression of Consciousness, there's lots of different things in there. It is emotional because I talk about things that I've had to deal with on an emotional level. And through writing the book, there come to points where I started to write things that are very raw, that were very raw. And I began writing it, and I'm saying to my guides, I can't write this. This is too hard. I can't even verbalize what you want me to discuss. And my team are saying, you must do this, because if you don't, you will not heal. And you will not move forward, and you won't come to realizations why things happened. So there was times in that book I had to be left alone, totally alone. And because I had to reopen up wounds that I thought I healed from, but I didn't. I just suppressed it. I just hid it very cleverly. But then other things manifest. You know, our health don't improve. My asthma wasn't getting better. Things like that. And then aches and pains start kicking in because I'm reluctant of moving forward. I'm being stuck in the past. I'm not letting it go. And from not letting it go, it's not serving my sole purpose, because all it is doing is being a hindrance and holding me back emotionally. Because if you don't heal yourself from old broken relationships or relationships that didn't work well, you're going to take that into your next one, and you're going to keep doing that, and the cycle will repeat because your soul hasn't learned. Every situation we are in is a lesson. Now I've got to deal with a situation shortly because of a post I've put on Facebook about opium in Afghanistan.
You were speaking, Spencer, about energy, and you know, as we spoke of in the last video, everything's about energy and how it manifests in all different ways.
Yes.
And you were speaking about the opium, this, that, and the other. All the American forces in Afghanistan, they're not there for peace. They're there to protect the opium harvest, the lithium mining, etc.
Yeah.
Whatever. Society is structured in such a way that it harvests our energy in whichever way, form, or variant it can. And, you know, people that are relying on morphine, for instance, as I have been for years.
Yeah, my mum was.
They are because of, I mean, mine was a result of an accident. However, it's not the same for everybody. conditions are raised within the physical body because of all the emotional, spiritual body, because of the way society is structured. And so a lot of these things can be sorted if we address them, as you say, through meditation, and all things like that.
Yes.
Can you explain that a bit more?
Yeah, so yeah, because everything starts on an energy level, we have to administer healing from the energy level to begin with. And the many forms of you apply that healing depends on the way you approach it. Now, one way, meditation, now it's proved scientifically that meditation is good for the physical body because it does lower our heart rate, and it calms us down. It lowers our blood pressure. It calms the mind, you know, and it does a lot of other things as well. And when we meditate, the body does fully relax. And when the body is fully relaxing, then that also alters the energy and the frequency in the brain, which then works on us on that level as well. Because the mind is becoming still, we then start going within ourselves, because when we go through our daily lives, our mind is always chattering and lots of random thoughts come in. But if you asked yourself, what is my next thought? It wouldn't tell you because it doesn't know, because they're spontaneous, or we have to send an intentional thought out for a thought to come back from the universe, and on our conscious level. So when we work on the body through healing, we work with the healing through meditation, and that in turn starts working on the electromagnetic field within the body. From there, we'll start working on our cells and working on the physical and the emotional everywhere else. Then there's other ways of receiving positive energy for the body to heal, and that's through the choice of our diet. Now, my diet is not the best at the moment because I still eat some meat and things, but I've removed a lot of things out of my diet because I know certain things don't serve my body purpose. And so things like dairy I've removed, and other things, because I found out that people with asthma, for instance, shouldn't be on dairy, and milk doesn't help asthma because it thickens at the back of the throat and it affects our phlegm and causes congestion in the lungs. So I've looked into things of clearing the energy within my body from removing bad energy, like things from food. We have to make sure we know what we are eating. I personally wouldn't eat anything frozen in a package anymore if I can help it, because that's got so much preservatives in it. It's been processed, it's been manufactured, it's not natural, and there's ingredients in there that's not going to do you any good. And we all know unhealthy food is bad, because if you're going to keep eating a burger, one day you are going to have a heart attack. It's science tells us that. We know that. So we have to keep our bodies clean on an energy level. And we do that through meditation and food. The food should be organic. It should be fruit and vegetables, fresh, and know where you're getting it from. I will eventually start growing my own food, and I will eventually start using local farmers, because I want although at the minute I do use a local Morrison's, but it's not, I shouldn't be really, because they're part of the problem.
Yeah.
They're putting, all our foods are wrapped in plastic, which is not good for our planet, which is also affecting the energy of the planet. Again, so everything we do has a consequence on an energy level, because all the pollution we're creating within the planet is damaging the electromagnetic field and the frequency and energy of the planet. We absorb that, and then that will put us in a state of dis-ease or not feeling so great. And so we have to put high frequency food into our system as well. And medication is synthetic. So when we take medication, because that is it's not a natural source of good energy, it's synthetic, it's been created in a lab, and then we take that medicine only deals with the symptom. Hence opium, which is heroin, it deals with your pain. Yes, it gives you pain relief, but it's not dealing with the root cause of the problem or wherever that pain is coming from, because that pain could be coming from something, from a past emotional trauma that you have not healed yourself from within.
Indeed.
You know, and through that, and we're using, and through energy, if we take energy from negative sources like GMO foods, processed stuff, and drugs such as opium, we are feeding something else. We are feeding another agenda.
Indeed.
Now,
we are what we eat.
We are what we eat. And that's why we shouldn't be eating animals. Plus, the truth is, I know I'm breaking natural law because I'm eating meat, but we shouldn't be eating meat because that's against natural law. That animal did not give you consent to kill it. Therefore, you broke natural law. To apply natural law to something, two parties or whoever is involved must consent to something, and it must be in unconditional love. That should be the intention. Natural law does not cause harm, does not cause loss, and it doesn't cause death through unlawful means and unmindful acts.
Which is why
those things create bad energy.
Which is why I spoke the way I did yesterday about the Lakota traditionally.
Yes.
Again, to recap, before they went on a hunt for a buffalo, deer, elk, whatever, they would celebrate the life of that buffalo, deer, elk, whatever, in ritual, in celebration. They would honour the soul of that buffalo and beseech and ask that he would give his life so that people could live, and they would gift in their rituals, their songs, dancing and their offerings to the body, the soul of that being, that their people should live. That for me is in accordance with universal law.
Yes.
Absolutely.
It was
very profound when I first heard it, and it remains profound.
Yes.
But we've now been going for well over an hour, Spence.
Yeah, we've had about an hour, I think. Yeah.
I think we should cut it there and leave you to bring it into a format that is, pleasing on the ear and whatever, and and see what comes from that, and then we'll do another one another time.
Yeah, sure. Okay, brilliant. So if you want to round up the end of the video then.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it seems that me and Spencer, and there'll be others coming on board, are doing this from the Shante, the heart, to try and enlighten, empower and share knowledge, wisdom, understanding and enlightenment, both to ourselves and to others, to raise our own vibratory rate and that of the planet. There is, for me, no other reason for incarnating. You know, we don't profess to know it all, but all can be known, and we share that which we know at our point of awareness. It may well not be your point of awareness at this present moment in time. Everything that I personally speak about was never my total point of awareness at any other point in my life. However, it has come through learning and ascension of my conscious self and being. As I said before, bypassing the spirit, going beyond the spirit, is the key to all. To the conscious awareness, to the field that Casey and Tesla were great adepts at approaching and sharing with us. And we hope to bring you more of that as time goes on. We hope to grow individually and collectively together to awaken to the darkness that is the matrix that permeates so much of this all of this third dimension, the spirit world and beyond, and bring an end to that all-controlling influence that keeps us subjugated of mind, body and spirit. That's all that we're about.
Absolutely. Yeah, we absolutely, Barry. You know, we are doing this for out of love and to definitely help others, because that's what we are all here for. We're all here to learn, and we're all here to help one another, because the world we're creating and we're living in now, we are going to go all return back to another world, the spirit world, and we've got to live with each other there also. So
Indeed.
Why don't we create the heaven we're in now, rather than waiting for when we return back to consciousness? Indeed. We can all live a life of harmony. It's just got to start with self. We've all got to take personal responsibility. And I'm not an angel. I've made mistakes. I've screwed up lots of times, and I'm still screwing up. I'm not infallible. You know, we constantly are learning, but through learning, we come to a realization eventually that we're all in this together. We are, me, you, whether you're black, white, Muslim, Chinese, Christian, it doesn't matter. You are not the enemy. We all should be living together in respect with one another. It doesn't matter if you're black, white, you are what you are on a physical level. We're all the same on a cellular and a vibrational level, because we are all, at the end of the day, all energy, and we are all one.
Indeed, my friend. And with that, I will say Mitakoe Oyasin, which means we are all related.
Beautiful.
Until the next time.